Hi, it's
So
Steve Hargadon, and welcome to the closing keynote for School Libraries and AI. This has been a terrific event. Elissa, thank you so much for all that you've done here.
thank you so much, Steve, for all you have done. You've really been the magician behind the scenes. I cannot thank you enough for this. I mean, we started this conversation, it started out of a conversation we had, and you were like, let's do this. And I just was like, okay. Really behind the scenes, you have made this all happen and run incredibly smooth. I cannot thank you enough for it. And I am just blown away by everybody who has participated, who signed up, even if they didn't didn't join us today, that are going to be watching the recordings, and all of the amazing presenters. I went to some of the sessions, but I am going to go back and watch all of the sessions because there was just so much information given. And I hope that everybody liked this. Please let us know if you did, if you want to see things different. Steve and I have already started the conversation about maybe doing another one in the winter time, like 6 months from now, because things change so much. So if that's something you want, please let me know, and let us know about it, because this is just I think such a great topic, and one that everybody is interested in. And not just school librarians, this is for everybody. I mean, yes, there's a lot of things that are school library related, but all educators can benefit from it. So, in the remaining time we have, I'm going to talk to you a little about sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly about navigating AI in schools and libraries. Now, I put this in because our presentation, our panel discussion really sort of touched on all parts. And I don't think we can have a conference about AI where we don't discuss everything, and touch on some of the issues that are with AI. And I think as librarians, we really need to push that with our students. I go back to a story where my kid came to me and she goes, Miss M, you know what? I learned last night that AI and math don't go along very well. And I'm like, what happened? And she's like, yeah, I was lazy and I didn't do my homework. So I put in the answers to ChatGPT, and every one of the answers was wrong. And I was like, yeah, yes, you learned, didn't you? And she's like, yeah, I learned. But I think it's important to have these conversations with the kids so that they do sort of understand some of these things. So, what I'm going to talk about a little is some of the positive impacts, addressing some of the challenges, discussing the ethical limitations, and providing some guidance. So, the good. Let's start with the good. The good is that, and you guys saw this, is that there's lots of things that AI can help us with, including personalized learning. So it can help us to, like, there's platforms that can personalize instruction and content for the students and make it better for them. It can help us with those efficiencies. Like, I mean, I was just in a school where it was me and 2,400 kids. How am I going to do everything all by myself? I can't. So I needed some help with some of those administrative tasks, with, like writing a right. I stink at writing the like titles and blurbs of for books and for presentations. So AI helps me to do some of those things, and becomes more creative. I also have always struggled with a learning disability, and so I miss words when I'm writing, and I struggle sometimes. So it is AI has been incredible to help me with my disabilities be able to deal with like grammar and checking my writing to make sure it's right. My husband used to do that. Now AI has been able to take over that. And AI can also enhance research and discovery. Joyce Valenza talked a lot about this in her conversation and her presentation. So if you guys did not get to see Joyce's presentation, please go back and watch it. when the recording comes out. Like, I need to go back and rewatch it because she threw so much information. Yes, Joyce, you threw so much information at us. But you really talked about how it can enhance the research and discovery process, which is good, which is some really good things that can happen. I mean, it can help with keyword searches, trying to figure out the type, like helping kids to find better ways to do research. But it can also help with engagement and innovation, like immersing kids in worlds that they might not have been. Like, we just had a whole discussion, a presentation on using history chatbots so that kids can talk to these historical characters. And those are things that we could never have done in the past, and now we can do, and that's thanks to AI. So there are some good things out there. So let's look at some of them very briefly. I'm not going to go into depth, but I'm just going to give you like 3 ones that are really good for personalized learning. Khan Academy, the Khanmigo, is a tutoring that can be personalized for the child, which means that if a kid gets a problem wrong, it will go back and help them learn that certain area, and it will advance far enough that it helps the kid where it's challenging them, but it's also reinforcing things they might not learn or know. It can really help that in tutoring in ways that we might not always be able to as an educator. Now, is it the be all end all? No, but can it help children when they're trying to learn different topics, or help them in tutoring in math or different topics that are harder for them? Yes. Diffit, we had a session on that, and I sadly didn't get to watch it all, but oh my God, Diffit can do some incredible things. And it really is great for if you have ESL students. It can change things to different languages. It can differentiate instruction in ways you couldn't. Like, Newsela costs a lot of money. And if you're not in a district that can afford that, Diffit can take some of those tools and really make it so that it can make the grade level for different children and personalize it for them. Novelist, which a lot of you have access to that database through EBSCO, they have the ability with using AI to help you find recommendations for students for books that you might not have otherwise been able to think about. You can use Novelist to help, and we're using AI in those tools. So, those are great ways. Administrative efficiencies, Magic School AI, they're doing some really incredible things. I mean, you're looking for a tool that is just really good for education, where you're using a databases that are looking at, helping educators. Magic School AI has all these different tools for you, from like rubric making to IEP generating, to how do you write that email to the parent when you want the nice email to the parent when you want to put in like something that's not nice. It makes it nice. It does dad jokes. It does tongue twisters. I mean, it really has so many really great options, and they have a part that's for teachers, and there's a part for also students that some students can partake in. Goblin Tools is a really cool tool. Was designed for students that are with disabilities or on the autism spectrum, and or have ADHD, and it can break down tasks for them. So instead, like my son has ADHD and he gets overwhelmed at times, and so do I, where I'm thinking, oh my God, I have this big thing I need to do. Well, how do I do that? And it will break everything down for kids and give them that specific list and tools on how to do that. So it takes something and makes it shorter. And there's some really good tools in Goblin Tools. And Brisk Teaching has some really great tools in there, and can help you to enhance your lessons with AI. I'm not touching on any of these. I'm just trying, giving you like 3 each, but there are so many more. So enhancing research and discovery. I mentioned this a little in my in the opening session, but Notebook LM, I am telling you, I am blown away by its potential. I love the ability that it has to take your research, you build your own database. You are building that set of resources that then the AI is using to help you. So what it is doing is you putting in those articles, those websites, those PDFs, those, database documents that you've gotten. And so when we tell our kids, we're always telling our kids, take, put all your research in one place and then use it when you're writing. Well, not only does it take all that research and put it with them in one place, but it can help them then search through that research. You can ask questions and it will pull the information out. It'll tell you exactly where it cites where it got the information from in the documents you provided, and it helps you to really be able to talk to your documents and write better papers. Research Rabbit or Consensus can really, like, they build almost like these Spotify playlists where you can go in and put in a topic and then it pulls the information for you. Um, and the one that I just talked about is Notebook LM, and it's up on the screen right now. Um, and then Research Rabbit is another one that sort of does like
Alyssa,
a Spotify.
you're not
Yes.
you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, my screen didn't share. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was. Here. Sorry about that. Guys, now I am. Thank you, Steve. See, look at that. I messed up there. Here's my screen. Here, let me go back. I'm going to go back, then I messed up. So I'm going to go back for a minute and sort of show you the tools that I'm talking about here. So this was the personalized learning, Khan Amigo, Diffit, Novelist. Then the next one, Magic School, AI, Goblin Tools, Brisk Teaching. Then these are the ones we're talking about now, which are Notebook LM, which is the one that I was talking about that you can build your own notebook for. Research Rabbit is another one that you sort of builds you a Spotify type of playlist of resources. And then another one that is great is called Hello History, where you can talk to different chatbots and different people. And so you could talk to Shakespeare. You could have your kids talking to Shakespeare or Martin Luther King or all of these historical people and learning more about them. And it can do some really amazing things. Um, for engagement and innovation, Canva. I mean, Christina talked about in her session about some of the cool things that Canva can do. I use Canva on like a daily basis because it's just amazing. And I mean, they have AI tools such as, one of my favorites is just background remover. I use that constantly. And other tools that, and can enhance your creativity. Microsoft Designer has some really fun tools in there and prompts that you can generate different things. Like you can make ones that those like Funko Pop one, you can make a design where you make yourself into like one of those pop figures, Funko Pop things, and I'm saying that wrong. Or you can make yourself a Muppet. Like I have one, my profile picture that I used for a while was me as a Muppet. And so you can have fun with like Microsoft Designer and do cool chats. And then another one that I love is Chat PDF, which allows you to engage in any PDF documents. So think about it. You're given a big PDF document, or your kids have to read. Like I was a school board member and we would get these policies that we'd have to read through and they'd be like 10 pages long. And you want to chat with the document, but there's not an easy way. Well, you can put a PDF in it and then it makes the chat for you and then you can chat with it. So it's really an incredible tool that you can use and engage in different ways. But there are some bad. And we do need to discuss the bad. Like there are data privacy concerns. we don't exactly know how they're using that data. Sometimes we know a little more than others, but we don't always know, is that information going to be taken? So if I put in a student's work, are they going to then use that to train stuff on? You know, that type of stuff is stuff that we need to really be starting to read those the information about when you're joining, and learn more about what exactly or how are they using that data and that information that you're giving to them. And we need to be talking about this with our students. We also must be talking about the bias in AI algorithms. We know there's bias there. We know that it is flawed and these models, do things differently, and it can result in unequal treatment of students and of different races and genders, because they how the algorithms are written. So we have to be careful when we're doing that, and we have to look for ways when we're asking for information that we're writing our prompts in ways that try to get at and alleviate some of those biases. But we need to realize that they exist. So an example I give to my students all the time is there are certain certain ways that the algorithms are written because they don't want people to misuse things. So if you go into ChatGPT and you try to get a picture of Barack Obama, it won't let you because it doesn't want you to. They think it's controversial and that it might be used for bad things. Like Canva has the same thing. It won't let you get a picture of Oprah Winfrey, but it'll let you get a picture of Martin Luther King, but it won't do the like certain people. And that's a bias built into its algorithm. Why is it that one person is better? You can do something you can use and another you can't. So we have to think about those biases and how the algorithms are written, when we're looking at it, and that we're teaching our students about those biases too. And the ugly. So the ugly is ethical concerns. James Allen talks a lot about it. A lot of you guys, if you haven't had a chance, go and see his presentation. On the recording there, he gives a presentation on some of those ethical concerns. He talked about it some in our panel discussion, but there are so many ethical concerns around AI, not just from like what is happening right now, but also like just in general, how AI was built. What are the the data sets, where it's got its information from, where everything has come into it. What are we what data sets are we looking at? Did it take from artists and musicians and videos and YouTube and all those things? There are a number of lawsuits that are in the process of happening now that are really going to be deciding factors on what copyright looks like nowadays, and how AI happens. There was a really good, and now I'm going to forget. So James, if you are in this, or if you can see the chat, and maybe somebody remembers what I'm talking about, there was an awesome a podcast that talked about the legalities of AI and the ethics around it and some of these lawsuits, and I am forgetting the name of it. I listened to it while I was walking around Paris, and I will get it to you guys, but hopefully maybe somebody in the chat remembers what it's called. And it's called, maybe, I think, Search Engine. And it was really good, and I highly recommend like listening to that as a good way to sort of get your head around some of these concerns. And we also need to sort of talk about not only just the implications of how it was built, but the ethical concerns around plagiarism, around how we deal with many of these issues. I think one of the big things I always get asked is, how can I figure out if my kids are plagiarizing things? And I said, you can't. None of those detectors work. They're not good enough that I would risk like children getting in trouble if information got put into them. Um, you know, I could write something that I write myself and it comes out saying it's like 98% AI. And if there is anybody that is like telling you, or companies, because I've heard companies that have tried to tell me, like, turn it in, I'm going to call you out, where they say, oh, we can detect. No, you really can't detect. And some of these problems, I don't want our children to be in a place where they are being accused of something they didn't do. So we have to look at the ethical implications of some of those issues too. And we have to look at the societal implications of, like, are we making a digital divide more, or are we making it less? I think there's an argument to be made for both. I think in some ways we are helping children. Like, I work with students who are, a lot of my students are free and reduced lunch or first generation students. And so they don't have the ability when they're applying for college to have the money to pay for those college coaches to help them write their essays and to help them fill out their applications and all of that. And so generative AI like ChatGPT and other things can really help them by taking their, you know, some of their writing and editing it in a way that's going to be helpful when they're making their applications. I used it with a student who is applying to the Naval Academy and also to West Point, when we were working on our applications to help her. And she didn't have the money to be able to afford any of these tutors that many other kids could. Well, it helped her enough that she got into both places. Now, am I saying she wasn't plagiarizing anything? It was taking her work and helping her to change it a little or get ideas on how to improve it. And we need to think about those type of things, because it is helping in some ways, but it's also hurting in other ways. And how is this going to impact us? Are we getting to the point where kids are just going to, we already know we're at the point where kids just put stuff in without looking at it. And, there's implications because it's not correct information. And how do we teach children that to make sure what they're putting in is really correct? There's so many implications here that we need to start to talk about with our students. And it's important that we do. Um, how how do we do this? How do we navigate these challenges? We navigate them through policies, making sure we have policies in place that help children. Joyce had some really great examples in her information of different policies. There's lots of different policies out there that can help you. We as librarians are the ones that are the most important in terms of teaching digital literacy to our students. So we need to continue this. We teach it to them, but we really need to continue um, to push the idea of digital literacy when it comes to AI, with and looking at sources and what's fake, what's real, what is AI, all of that. And we as librarians are the perfect people to be teaching this to our students. And we also have to be the ones that are offering the PD to our teachers. Offering it to our teachers, offering it to others like we're doing here today, giving them a place where they can come to learn more about this. And I think that is so important because it is overwhelming. So how do we prepare for the future? We need to stay informed. It's so important to stay informed. Join, I'm going to push my newsletter as an example, but Elizabeth, who was on earlier, she writes an amazing newsletter too. Joyce had a list of people to follow that she gets information from. There are so many great people out there that you can get lots of really good information from. All the people that spoke today at their conference, follow them, get information from them, get informed, stay informed. And then also start collaborating with others and be willing to try it. I always say to my students, hey, I don't know what's going on, or I'm not sure about this, but I'm going to try and I'm going to learn more and we're going to learn together. And it might turn out okay, or it might not, but we're going to learn together. And so we have to get students to do that. And we have to also be there for teachers to do that also. So collaborate with others on this stuff. So basically, in conclusion, like embrace it, but be but know that there are that we can't embrace it without talking about some of the bad and the ugly that go along with it also. And those are important things to discuss. Now, I have put in a disclaimer on my presentations, and I think we should teach our students to do this too, where I say this presentation was created using Canva AI tools for the design elements. And I utilize ChatGPT to assist in editing the content and refining the structure of my presentation. Because I sometimes mess up grammar, so I have it go through that. I use Grammarly. I forgot to put in that I use Grammarly to check some of my grammar. So, those are important things too that I think we need to model for our students too. And I want to thank you guys. I know this conference is about to end. We only have 2 or 3 minutes left, but I want to thank everybody who participated in this, who joined in on the discussions, who came from all around the world. I'm blown away by some of the places that people are here from listening to this conference. And I hope you guys learned something and you came away taking away something from this. I want you to leave with stuff for your toolbox. Um, all of the recordings and the sessions will be available as soon as we have them up, probably next week. Steve will probably send you an email about it, but I will also post about it on my newsletter, which is also on the QR code is there for the newsletter if you want to join. It's a free newsletter. I discuss things. I am also looking for information, like people contact me, because I want you guys to also write this newsletter and be a part of it and guest write. So please, contact me and get together and let's do this. And oh my God, the person who is up at 1 a.m. on Friday from Qatar, I'm Veronica, you are amazing. I thank you so much for being here and for all the people that are here participating in this. And I cannot thank Steve enough for everything behind the scenes that he did to make this happen. And honestly, guys, if you want this to happen again, let us know. We'd be happy to put one on in a few months if we think that it's going to be helpful. And thank you all again for this. You really, you don't understand. This has been a dream of mine, and to have something like this happen, and I cannot thank everybody enough for it. And thank you good night from Croatia. And I see my dear friends Kathy, Lester, and Becky, and all of you. I know Becky is dealing with like 100 and some odd degree heat in Texas, which is just beyond. Slide 4 again. Is that in this one? So let me see. I'm gonna go back. Okay, that's slide 4, which was kind of those are some of the personalized learning and different slides for you, but I cannot thank you guys enough. Thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh my God, everybody. There's certificates. If you're looking for a certificate, it is on the link. And you can put in what sessions you've been at. Oh, thank you from Ghana. Oh my God, it just blows me away. everybody who has come from all over the place to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Elissa.
You're
This has been
welcome.
terrific. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to put in your final comments or notes.
Yeah.
We'll close the session, and the recording should be up by early next week, both the video recordings and the chat logs. They'll be at library20.com, and they'll also be on the library20.com YouTube channel. But if you have any questions about finding them, we will send you an email. Go to library20.com and you'll find a link there. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye now.
Bye. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Elissa. Great job.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to give it another minute or two so everybody can sign out and leave and